Oliver needs 8 for a title. Bang!
There's the emotion.
There it is.
Boom! Jordan Richard.
Champion again.
In Allen Park, Michigan, Emil Williams Jr. with Sidney Brummett. We've got 5 fantastic finalists. We just broke down a little bit of our opening match. Again, in the number 3 seed, so the winner of this match will take on Brianna Cote as we take a look at the bracket for you. I thought Bree was simply fantastic, especially in the consistency department. Sidney Brummett, from start to finish, really throughout this tournament so far, she's been very, very good. Obviously, we've watched Bree in these moments many times over. We often talk about the same things: execution, filling frames, obviously taking one shot at a time. But I feel like she's one of the best, really, and not just saying it, but actually putting it to use and doing the work.
Yeah, knowing Bree quite well, she prides herself on being consistent. When she comes to the shows and when she is on her way to making TV, the number one thing she talks about is, I just want to be consistent. I want to get a check every single week out here on tour. I want to make the top 12 every single week here out on tour. And when it comes down to it, that's what allows her to be consistent, is she never expects anything more or less of herself.
Our top 2 seeds tonight: New Wei Finn, the number 1 seed, and of course, Sherry Tan is the number 2 seed. We assume, or we're normally used to seeing Sherry Tan in that number 1 seed situation. This time around, New Wei Finn took care of business late. In fact, it came down to the position round. The winner of that match was going to get the number 1 seed. That was Wei. When you think about that 1-2, give me your first thoughts about those 2 players. And obviously, they've been 2 of the best on tour this season.
Yeah, Wei has so much going for her in this, just because she'll have time to watch the lanes develop. And if there's something that Team Singapore does well, it's observe and react. And then for Sherry, I don't think giving Sherry time is a great idea for anybody. So the fact that Sherry has an extra game to be able to win a title is huge and plays in her favor.
That's a great point as we get you underway. Crystal Elliott will start the match. She was the higher seed, and she starts with the 10 pin.
I immediately like what we're seeing from Crystal more than what we saw from her in the second round of match play. Further right, much straighter. It's going to make the lanes feel easier for her.
Crystal, 23 years of age. And by the way, folks, I was going to try to save this piece of info, but you just never know what's going to happen, right? So we might as well lead with it. Robin did make the official announcement after Crystal officially earned her spot on this show tonight as we see the spare maid. Crystal has mathematically locked up the Rookie of the Year award. So Crystal Elliott is the 2024 PWBA Rookie of the Year. Congratulations to her. It's one thing to be a front runner. It's another thing to actually do the work and win the award. So congrats to her. And now we watch for the first time Ashley Galante, first PWBA telecast nationally. First shot. And a fast 8. First time out, national. Looked like a pretty solid shot overall.
Very much so.
Look at the trophy there, bottom of your screen. 3 titles on the line this week. Greater Detroit Open. Tomorrow begins the Pepsi Open. Qualifying begins at 10 a.m. with spare for Galante. And then, of course, the Tour Championship will close out the week. Those who have won titles earned automatic spots into the Tour Championship. And the rest of the field, of course, filled out by those highest on the points list. and a ton of players between, of course, this event, Greater Detroit, and tomorrow's start of the Pepsi Open, still vying for spots on the points list to advance to the Tour Championship. So still a lot to be determined here this week in Greater Detroit. Second frame for Galante. And gets a good break. Boy, that was a 410 for about 1 second.
Yeah, fortunate leave there for Ashley. Ball is a higher response bowling ball than we've seen her throw throughout qualifying and these rounds of match play. What I mean by that is when it gets to the friction, it changes directions fairly quickly.
All right, spare made. There were a couple of late unforced errors from Ashley as she was trying to solidify that 5th spot. Missed a couple of 10 pins, one in game 5 late, and then one early in the position round game, but it did not affect her. Julia Bond had to not only defeat Galante, but then put up a decent game. In fact, had to beat her by 28 pins, speaking of Bond. So JB was right there, had an opportunity, but a good start to the week for Julia Bond. Nice different level view. Oh, boy. That's big time trouble right there for Crystal Elliott. I feel like we didn't see a lot of that from Crystal throughout, certainly yesterday in qualifying, and even across match play today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of that from her. Realistically, the shot is left off of her hand. It hits the track much sooner than she would want it to. And one thing about the track in this building is it's guaranteed to hook. No doubt about it. So a miss left when you're playing that far right can be detrimental and cause your ball to be high in the pocket or through the nose like that, leaving the 3, 6, 7, 10.
Crystal was fantastic during round 2 specifically of qualifying. Here going plus 263 during last night's 6-game block. She only went 60 over for round 1 for 6 games. I mean, you talk about a difference. Better shot, trips at 4. Galante will step up with a 14-pin advantage. There are 2 bowling ball giveaways tonight. They are courtesy of Storm and Brunswick. So be on the lookout in between the matches. Galante. You saw that one was just right of the down lane tracer. Looked like about 8-ish or so at the break point. Sid, great shot.
Yeah, that was the goal for the players every time we bowled on this pattern. That same break point. About 11 at the arrows.
New Wave Finn just to our right, the number 1 seed, getting a look here early at this match and seeing where players are playing here early. She's got a little bit of time to wait, of course, before she hits the lanes. Galante looking for a double and has it.
That one was convincing for sure. You know, throughout most of the time we saw her throw a mesmerize, which is a huge footprint of a bowling ball. And that was slower response. And now she's throwing an NV Tour, which is smaller core, no doubt about it. Still asymmetric, but just, I like to call it, it's like a baby asym. Little tiny asym, meaning the intermediate diff is low. And so essentially, for all of our friends that used to have weight holes, it creates a pseudo weight hole, having that small amount of intermediate diff, and still slows down and goes through the pins the right way for her.
Well, I was going to say that one's got a hook, and boy, did it. 3-6, and boy, Crystal might be seeing something a little bit different that she hasn't seen throughout her time on these lanes here at Thunder Bowl. I asked her what would she prefer to see, like what would be necessary for her to be able to get comfortable pretty quickly. She said hopefully she doesn't see early hook. All right, good spare in the fourth, but Galante. After the 8 spare, 9 spare situation, 2 very convincing shots, especially the last one, as you said, Sid. But first and foremost, can Crystal Elliott make the change here on the left lane? What move, if any, might we see Crystal, or is it just a settle down, be comfortable situation, you think?
It appears to me like the right lane hooks more than the left. That was true also during our match play rounds.
Oh, wow.
A break there.
How about that break?
And the point of me saying that was maybe there isn't a necessary move on 33, but there is on 34. Because the shot that Crystal threw on 33 was awesome. It was a good start. Her first shot on that lane was a flat 10, I believe. So all of those are great. But on that right lane, because it hooks sooner, it may just be going over the track a bit, so that way the guaranteed friction is to the right of you instead of to the left.
25 pin deficit at the moment. And you just got to knock it down. That's all you got to do. It certainly could be a worse start for Crystal, but all things considered, not a bad start. But her opponent, though, looks like she is not here for the play tonight, and that is Ashley Galante.
Yeah, Ashley wants to take full advantage of this first TV opportunity that she has. Get out to the best start possible.
35-year-old from Palm Harbor, Florida, 2-time Team USA member, a current member on the squad. That's a very good look. Ooh, great shot. Vicious wrapped in there. We almost can't throw it much better than that. Leading by 24. Thanks to our photographers down lane capturing these moments tonight. Of course, our Bowl TV squad handling our videography. When we talked to Ashley at the end of match play, of course, she had a quick turnaround just coming in. The moment just took place, but she mentioned she wanted to try to just take it all in. Everything, and that includes nerves as well, and embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Embracing the challenge that is the Greater Detroit Open. Great shot, 6 into the 10, and as we've been saying today, that 6 pin was kind to the 10 pin.
Yeah, and from my POV, if that one holds, Ashley has great ball reaction because I was further left, like a parallel left of what I would have expected it to be. And so if she can get it that much further in the track and it not hook early to 3-6-10, she has great ball motion and swing gets a little bit looser. You start to have more fun. Pins fall your way. Hence why the 6 pin is a bit kinder.
Now back to Elliott, stepping up, trailing by 24. That looks like a ball change. Looks like an Excel now in the hands. Making the move from the Ion Pro. You like this ball change, Sid?
It's not normal that I would say no when Crystal does something. And the reason I say that is I would like it conditionally if the move is going to be further left. And it wasn't. So when it was about at the rangefinders, I was shaking my head no, because it's still going to be too much bowling ball for the amount of friction she's using. So move further left to have more oil in the front part of the lane, allow the ball to have more time, then I like the ball change.
Elliott just wrapped up her collegiate career at Jacksonville State. Helped the squad win an NCAA championship in its first year of existence. It's a graduate transfer over from Nebraska, where she also won a national championship. Multi-time first-team All-American. And now the Rookie of the Year on the PWBA Tour. And that one goes high as well, 3.610.
Yeah, and that was a move to the left a bit. I liked that one more. It had a better chance.
That's a good look.
It can be so confusing as players when we first learn and understand about friction on a bowling lane. And in high lineage centers like we have here at Thunder Bowl, it's impossible to avoid the track area. So the track in each bowling center can be different, but in most buildings, it's going to be somewhere between like 8 and 13. And it's guaranteed friction. Your ball is going to hook there. And so what Crystal has to do is go over that track so that way the ball will not hook as soon. But it's invisible. You don't see it on the pattern graph. So you're like, why does my ball hook here?
Galante leading by 28. Going to add to that. But Galante in her first opportunity in these moments looking extremely comfortable, as if she has done this a gazillion times already.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known. There was a brief moment where I saw just a tinge of panic, but it was gone the minute she saw her ball go through the pins the right way in the third frame.
Eighth frame. Oh, good Lord. Great shot. Well, I knew this would happen on this show. It was bound to happen. We've seen several of those today. Not from Ashley Galante, though. A couple from Marissa Carey, who bowled very well, by the way. Shout out to Marissa Carey.
I think I stopped breathing for a second. Legit.
It does take your breath away.
Yeah, like that one was good. It held line, and then she gets to shoot the spare.
Some of the scent in the hands of Crystal Elliott. $37-pin deficit. At this point for Crystal, 210 is the max. Galante still working at 237 max. And all right. That's a big one there, Sid, because at least it's going to keep her in it, certainly if she can put a double together coming up.
Yeah, it gives her a chance. You know, she can't get a double. You know, she can't get the one in the 9th, causing a double if she doesn't get the one in the 8th.
We've seen Crystal roll some 4 pins today. That one a little bit of a different carry on the 4-pin messenger, but carry nonetheless. Big shot, 9th frame. Bang. And there it is for Crystal Elliott.
There was no doubt about that one. The ball got to the right. And more than likely it got to the right because she had enough angle through the front part of the lane.
Galante had a regional title to her credit. Actually, a couple in that sense, especially since the relaunch. Big shot for her 9th frame. And a 7-pin. The difference there. She's still obviously in great position. She holds the lead. There's another look. Wow. I just saw that that hit from somewhere, somebody on social media. Pin going right in front of the 7-pin. All right, good spare. Well, without question, she's going to need a mark to shut out Crystal Elliott. And a mark, but a 15-pin field total. But the mark is first and foremost. If that does not happen, of course, Crystal Elliott will have a chance to step up and win this opening match. Galante with her dad, Rick, here, always traveling. Shout out to husband Blair, mom Denise, brother Ricky, sister Tara. To move on. Oh, spin. Wow. That 7-pin and then that 9-pin, Sydney Brumman.
Yeah. I mean, you know I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. But an 8-pin gives you an idea that maybe they're starting to hook more. And then the high flush 7-pin tells you the same thing. So if she did not make moves, then she wrote the story for herself. If she was making moves, now I think we count them as bad breaks. And obviously I'm not down there, I'm not counting the boards. But I would assume she made some moves and they are bad breaks.
Gotta have it. All right, she'll need 6 on the fill to complete the job.
It's a really professional game from Ashley. Just a clean game, lots of patience, quality shots. A clean game is your first game on TV.
Yeah, that's pretty
all right.
impressive.
Yeah.
Six to advance. It's left. Oh, my goodness. And now Crystal Elliott, 4 through the middle. And Crystal will have a chance to win this match. She will need all 3 in the 10th to advance. Bowling, sport, athletics is something. Sid, during round 2 of match play, you talked about seeing a lot of 4 through the middles. And there it was, right there. Got to have them all. There's the first.
You know, we talked about in match play how Julia Bond would be someone that you would want to throw all 3 in the 10th or get a double in the 10th. For me, Crystal's on that list of people And I watched her do it so many times in college bowling when her team needed it. I've seen her do it multiple times out here on tour. I will say if I was her in this moment, the rack on 34 isn't the greatest.
What do you see from it specifically?
The head pin and the 3-pin are a little close together, and so that can cause carry to be weird. This could have been a similar rack to when she tripped that 4-pin.
Elliott needs them all. She got the first. Second one here in the 10th. Bang!
When it's that flush, it doesn't matter if the rack is bad. Let's just get that straight. When it's that good. Excellent shot from Crystal.
Most recently, 7th at the Lucy with Francois Lavoie. That event, of course, won in back-to-back years by Anthony Simonson and Danielle McEwen. As you see that just dead flush from Crystal Elliott. And 4th at the Jonesboro Trios with Brad Miller and Mika Koivuniemi. And now, after needing 6 on the field to shut out Elliott, Galante went 4 through the middle. Crystal has thrown the first 2 in the 10th. Must have here 9. We're going to a roll-off 8. Elliott loses. It's on the lane. Gotta have it. 8. And Crystal Elliott will fall 209 to 208. And pardon my language, folks, but that was a hell of a 10th frame.
It was. I feel like we just went through a lot of emotions in a very short period of time. I have goosebumps because this is the type of matches that we want to call. This is the type of matches that you want to have happening in front of you. It's heartbreaking for one player and also relieving for another. And both of them have to find a way to either one, bowl the next match, or B, come back and bowl tomorrow. So hats off to Crystal Elliott for an incredible start to the week in Detroit, wrapping up PWBA Rookie of the Year for 2024, and I'm sure this is not the last time we're going to see her in a finals appearance.
Absolutely not. Great bowling to Crystal Elliott, but Ashley Galante, normally we say these things, of course, in March, but in a stepladder finals, survive and advance, and that is what Ashley Galante just did. She bowled very well, so I think she's got plenty of solace in that as she moves on to face Brianna Cote, the number 3 seed. That is coming up next here in just a moment. But first and foremost, we will have our first giveaway. And that is brought to you in part by Brunswick. Thank you so much, of course, to Brunswick and all of our proud partners. Brunswick, the leader in bowling balls, shoes, equipment, and apparel. Find out the latest products, promotions, and news from Brunswick and shop online at brunswickbowling.com or through your local pro shop today. Brunswick Bowling Ball giveaway next on Bowl TV.
Warmed up here. Just a reminder, bowling fans, please silence your cell phones to prevent distractions to the competitors on the lanes.
All right, folks, that giveaway is underway. Again, the giveaway is underway. Make sure you click submit entry. Make sure you click submit entry. Brunswick Bowling Ball on the line. We will have a winner in just a few seconds, and then we will preview Our next match, Brianna Cote will face Ashley Galante. And Kaylee is the winner of the Brunswick Bowling Ball. Congratulations, Kaylee. Kaylee, please be on the lookout for an email from the Bowl TV marketing squad. They will be reaching out. Give them a couple days, at least I would say 14 business days or so for you if you don't hear from them. And in the event that you don't, be sure to reach out to marketing@bowl.com. We welcome Sydney Brummett back into the Bowl TV booth. And Sid, I got to be honest, it's been a long time since kind of been on the edge of your seat type of match, right? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what we got. What a way to open up competition here at the Greater Detroit Open. Ultimately, as you look ahead now in Brianna Cote versus Ashley Galante, what stands out in regards to strategy, lane play, based on what we saw from Galante, and what might we maybe anticipate from Brianna Cote?
Yeah, Bree's going to be further left than both Crystal and Ashley were. Her intention is to find hold through the front part of the lane and also to utilize the extra friction, I would say, that the other two ladies have created in their time in practice. So for Ashley, it's a matter of whether or not we can get through the early friction that's starting to happen, right? We saw it when she went 8-pin, 7-pin, 9-pin, and then 4 through the middle. So yes, it was a bad shot, but what do your bad shots do? We have to pay attention to those. So it is starting to hook early for her. So interested to see if Ashley makes the move.
For those of you just joining us, here's our bracket. Again, Galante in a thriller, 209 to 208. And how about the resolve, of course, from Crystal Elliott, right? Where you might think in that situation, all right, she's going to get the necessary pins. It's not 9 or 10, it's 6, right? Doesn't seem like a ton, but it's bowling, so you got to do it. And then, boom, ready, right? She wasted no time throwing 2 really good shots. If you're Galante, mentally, right, you talking about breathing the sigh of relief. Now, clean slate, new match. How does she respond here against Cote?
Like, it's one of those moments you have to feel like you have lucky girl syndrome, where it's just like everything works out for me. It's going to be fine. It didn't go how I expected it to, but who cares? Move forward. Like, it just has to be, we can't blame ourselves for throwing it bad and having to be in that situation. We can't say, oh no, I don't want to do that again. Can't be fearful it'll happen again. It just has to be, okay, so what in the next game? Like, what do I do in this next match to be successful? To bowl 33 and 34, bowl a high enough score on that pair that it would beat the score that Brianna Cote can put up on this pair.
Match 2 is upcoming. And Brianna Cote is at the bottom of the screen after a couple of final chats with one of the Team Storm reps, Steve Jacobs.
All right, Detroit, here we go. Our second match of the evening, a battle of veterans and current teammates.
The voice of Robin Graves, brand manager here at the PWBA.
Ashley Galante looking to climb the ladder for her first title. Who advances here at the PWBA?
Sid, quick question. Considering Galante, of course, bowled in the opening match, and you can put yourself in that situation because we are speaking it into existence, of course, when you get this opportunity. Is it advantageous in some way for Galante that she has to bowl or will bowl multiple matches ultimately to get the job done today? Does that help a player making this first making her first show? Cote, first shot. And a 2-pin. She's a little further left. In fact, a lot further left than Ashley Galante.
Yeah, so everything in me says, no, I don't think it's advantageous. And I say that because being the number 1 seed, you can kind of just go into this zombie mode where it's like, don't think, just react. You're almost in such a fight or flight that you can't really come out of it. Where if you have to go through this many matches, eventually you're going to come to terms with what's happening. And you're going to realize, oh my goodness, I'm in my first match play appearance, or my first television finals, excuse me. Now what? You almost have more time to freak out. So I would feel like being the #1 seed on that first TV show would be advantageous.
Coach A, who has been on shows at this point, so many times, experienced, and really feels like when she gets down to it, the execution, she's going to out-execute you. And that is where she's going to hang her hat. As we see Galante now back on the lanes after her opening match, thrilling win. NV Tour looks like still the ball of choice for Ashley Galante as well. And another great shot.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's a good sign for Ashley. The ball continues to get through the front part of the lane the right way, which is going to be one of our biggest battles here at Thunder Bowl. Such a high lineage center, meaning it gets a lot of play, a lot of open bowling, lots of leagues.
Congratulations again to one of our viewers, Kaylee, who has won the Brunswick Bowling Ball giveaway. Perhaps you should talk to Ashley Galante and get a recommendation, because clearly she is bowling very well this week. That's a little right. Oh, she'll take that, though. And a 10-pin.
Yeah, where Ashley's playing currently, I would rather miss a bit right than a bit left, simply because there's more guaranteed friction to her right. That's going to help her get to the pocket, where if she misses up the lane, it's going to be into the track, and it could overhook.
Galante recently made a fit change during the recent break after the U.S. Women's Open. Been working through it. First time with some new pitches was during the Lucy, so it took a little bit to get as comfortable as she certainly would have liked and preferred. Made some suggestions. They're talking with Team USA head coach Brian O'Keefe, and made a couple changes. Now look, Brianna Cote, 2021 PWBA Player of the Year. And you see the difference not only through the arrows, but even at the break point, where these two players are playing the lane strategically.
Yeah, there were almost two buckets that players fell into. You could play to the right and be straighter. We saw Liz Johnson fall in that category. Way for quite a while during match play fell into that category. And then also Ashley Galante. Then we have this other bucket of players that decided to play to the left. For the majority of it, Bree fell into that bucket. Jordan Richard fell into that bucket. And so neither is wrong. The pattern allows for both styles to excel.
Great shot. And a big double to start this match. Cote looking for what would be, well, is already now, her would be her fourth top 10 finish, and certainly her third top 5 finish in the last 5 singles events. That's not including the Jonesboro Trios and the Lucy. You see that great shot again from Cote. Push. There it is. I mentioned earlier, Sid, that Ashley looked like she just had a little bit more pep in the step this afternoon, and it showed on the lanes. She threw just much better shots overall. 1 and 5 this morning during match play, round 1, and then came out and won the first 5 matches to get herself in position to make the show. She went 6-0 this afternoon. That's including the position round match, of course, where she defeated Julia Bond. And a little bit of a weak 10 there as that one deflected to ultimately go 7-5. I mean, again, it's been a while since we've seen an event, at least for me personally, where there can be both ends of the coin of the spectrum in 2 rounds in one day. And it's happened both in qualifying, and now we've seen it also happen during match play.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit about it during the second match play round, but I didn't watch scores throughout qualifying. I didn't really want to. I just wanted to know what pace was, and my team gave me that idea. And when I looked last night, I was so surprised at the differences that players had from one block to the next. It's been a long time, like you said, that we've seen something like that. And it's not like those players are bowling bad the next block. They're just different. And so we have to adjust and adapt. And sometimes it takes us longer than expected to be able to do that.
Coach A looking for 3 in a row. That one's a little further right. And because she's covering a few more boards, it had to pick up in the mid lane. And boy, it got there. A little slow, but we got there.
Yeah, and of course she gets the Brie Cote hit.
How would you describe it?
Well, we're going to rewatch it here. If Brie like touches the head pin, I feel like the pins fall down. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know how they fall down. Wasn't a physics major. Don't understand physics all that well. Not going to pretend like I do. But when Brie touches the head pin, lights, they just fall down.
Looking for 4 in a row. Bang.
Yeah, and what Brie is confirming for me is 33 currently is starting to hook more in the body of the lane. So in that middle section, kind of in between the arrows and the rangefinders, which is why we're seeing Ashley struggle with carry on that left lane. She probably has to be a bit further left than what she expects. Anytime we flat tinned, the move was probably a parallel or something similar to a parallel move left, because more likely than not, your ball was hooking early.
Galante. And it's either the weak 10. Of course, she nearly left the entire back row. Allen Park, Michigan. City, thanks to Thunderbolt lanes. You saw some of the aerial footage in the opening montage of this broadcast. Historic Thunderbolt. Greater Detroit Open champion to be determined here in just a few matches. For Galante, 3 10-pins to this point, Sid, and she trails now by 31. And obviously her opponent, at least at this point in the match, carry is not necessarily an issue. At what point does one have to say, I got to take a risk potentially?
I would say right now.
Let's see what frame 6 has to offer. Light mixer carry. It is the reality check for Brianna Cote. The equipment that she mentioned that she might throw. Reality check, she might be in a shadow lock or a summit ascent. And of course, should anything else take place, anything that the reps may recommend in a particular time. I'm sure husband Randy and all of Caldwell Cote family watching. Shout out to Sarah Strickland. I know she's watching as well. And watching more strikes from Brianna Cote. Number 5. And it was a beauty. Lead balloons now to 41. The number 2 seed, Sherry Tan of Singapore. She will have the floor next against the winner. With her teammate, New Wei Finn, as the number 1 seed. Trying to make it 6, and does.
Yeah, and the big difference here in this match has nothing to do with shot execution. It all comes down to being matched up to what the lane is asking for. Bree's ball is simply storing a little bit more energy through the pins than Ashley's is. Ashley here with a ball change. Going to go to a mesmerize, and it looks like she's going to move a bit further left.
And you said it. Here she is. First shot, ball change, push. Yeah. 4-7.
Yeah, I didn't hate that. Just think the move to the left wasn't big enough to adjust for how much more aggressive this bowling ball is than the one she was throwing previously.
Spare handle for Galante. It's been the doom of the 10-pin. And the striking prowess from Cote. The difference so far in this match between Cote, a 5-time champion, looking for title number 6. And you look up and all of a sudden, Rihanna Cote is, you know, once you get past 5, you obviously start to then see 10 in the future. But first things first, of course, Galante, if you're just joining us, making her first career stepladder finals appearance, the PWBA National Tour. And that one is through the nose, 6-10. And now Ashley starting to run out of frames here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Appears to me like with the ball change, the picture isn't as clear as we would prefer. So that one wasn't her best executed shot. That one clearly left the left side of that rangefinder.
Two-time national champion collegiately. Won with the Pikeville squad in 2008. As she chops the 6-10, 6 right off the 10. Also won in 2010 with Weber International. Someone in this booth knows a little something about national championships with Weber, and it ain't me. Cote, a 4-time first-team All-American at Central Missouri. Looking for more. Has it. Very business-like. That is the one thing, and I believe we said this the last time we watched Bree on a show. The way she approaches step ladders is so professional. Like, even for down to the emotion that is shown. Right? It really only comes out from the emotional perspective when the moment calls for it, if that makes sense. It is very much business as usual here for the 5-time champion, major champion, 2023 U.S. Women's Open winner. Another one.
And I'm fairly certain that was a different bowling ball. I didn't see her take her thumb out of a ball and put it in a different one, but it did not shape the same.
And this one is mathematical. Cote, who, of course, I think understood the time and score, if you will, right? Understood the score. where she was and took that opportunity to try something else. And for Galante, made the ball change. And as we talked about, an opportunity. You felt like she had to do it just because of what Bree was doing, obviously. And when she didn't strike, she was leaving a 10-pin. So, yeah, the rubber had to meet the road in some situation.
Yeah, I'm not sure she had to make a ball change, but I am sure that she had to get left of the track because it was guaranteed to have more friction. So she could have stayed in the same ball and just went over top of all that guaranteed friction on the lane. But overall for Ashley, it's going to be a learning experience, right? And she's going to take this first stepladder final and move forward and try and make the next one.
This one is just going to be, obviously, Ashley's highest finish on the national tour. She will take this 4th place finish proudly, especially after making a few changes. She also wanted to give a shout out to the Krause family at Seminole Lanes and also Matt, Tom, and Jill at Dundee Lanes. All of the support and the time. Certainly not the way she wanted this one to end, but the fact that we had been talking about Galante for many seasons now, being close and just unable to push and walk through that door, but she pushed it down today to get here. Great individual effort by Ashley Galante here at the Greater Detroit Open. She will finish with 162. And now more opportunities for Brianna Cote to try some different pieces of equipment and or places on the lane. Cote, of course, a native of Tucson, living in Marana, Arizona. Again, it's going to be Cote. She will face Singapore's Sherry Tan in the semifinal match. Bree's first title came back, way back in 2016. The PWBA Lexington Open. Didn't win again until 2021. You talking about going through some changes. She went through a ton. Dropping down to 14 pounds. Another ball change there. Giving a look. Official tally, 268 to 162. Well, since 2021. And even a little bit before that, but the wins have been coming. She has won a title in each of the previous 3 seasons. Speaking of Cote, could she add another here in 2024? We will find out, certainly, in just a little bit.
Sherry Tan, who advances to meet New Wave Finn for the first title of the week, the PWBA Greater Detroit Open.
Wonderful voice of Robin Graves as we get you set for the semifinal. And an updated graphic for you as well. Brianna Cote, 268. Ashley Galante, 162. Cote versus Tan. That is next. But first, a word of our proud gold partners, Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider of the United States Bowling Congress and the PWBA. And we bring you back into the booth for a little bit to update you in case you're just joining us. Emil Williams Jr. alongside Sydney Brummett. You're watching the 2024 PWBA Greater Detroit Open Stepladder Finals. We opened with a thrilling match, 209 to 208. Ashley Galante had a chance to simply seal it and shut out with a proper fill or proper count on the fill. Did not do that, got 4, which allowed Crystal Elliott to step up and possibly throw all 3 in the 10th to win. She got the first 2, and then 8 on her fill to lose by 1 pin. And then you just saw a fantastic effort by Brianna Cote. Was lined up and rocking and rolling out the gate. She shoots 268 to Galante's 162 as we get you prepared for the semifinal match. One of the most dominant players we've seen in a long time, Sherry Tan, the number 2 seed. She, too, a 5-time champion looking for title number 6 tonight. We see the first look, of course, at the Southpaw in the stepladder finals here, Sid. The expectations from your vantage point based on what we know and what we typically see from Sherry as we get this set up and get going for the stepladder finals here.
Yeah, Sherry is a master at controlling the pocket. So her ball is going to hit the 1-2 almost every single frame. It's just a matter of whether or not the pins fall down. We saw some carry issues for her in the second round of match play specifically. And so what her and her teammate Wei, and also I call him their third teammate, Sean Ryan, have come up with this this match is going to be key to whether or not she can defeat Bree, who just bowled 268 and struck with a couple other bowling balls too. So Bree has options and knows what her progression is going to be, which can feel scary when your opponent is so clear about their kind of like their board game path.
Sure, it is interesting when you say that, because we are used to seeing Sherry Tan kind of in that mode where she's got options and she's tossing the big games, and now she's got to be the one to outstrike potentially Brianna Cote. When you talk about setting up the lane, I saw Sherry, of course, when she had her opportunities to practice on the stepladder finals pair. Something obviously with some surface, trying to create something so when she gets back out here, she will have something that she can work with and develop. We know that Sherry typically likes to see the lanes and likes to see her ball roll a little bit earlier, so that obviously is something to look forward to in this match as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. She's more than likely using this time in practice to play a couple to the left of where she would, probably 4 to 5 to the left with her feet, 2 to 3, maybe 4 at the max left at the arrows from where she would want to play. It will give her more hook if she misses left, and then the pattern will give her hold to her right.
Let's go full go as looks like Sherry Tan is ready. She is the higher seed, and she, I believe, has elected to choose or has chosen to begin the match.
Brianna Cote, both with 5 titles apiece, looking for number 6, who advances to face New Wave Finn for the championship and 10 grand. Let's give these ladies a huge round of applause. Looks like Sherry's going to get us started. Here, the semifinal match, Thunderbolt Lanes, PWBA Greater Detroit Open.
All right, here we go, folks. Who you got in this match? Who you taking? Sherry Tan? Brianna Cote? Who you got? Sherry Tan, the southpaw. Coming off a dominant stretch in Nashville. She made every show there. Won the Bowl TV Classic, finished second at the Nashville Classic, and then third at the final event, the Music City Classic. And her first shot through the nose. And she leaves at 6-10. Tan has been here multiple times before, and I say stepladder finals. So experienced. 36 years of age, of course, representing Singapore. Her teammate, New Wei Finn, is the number 1 seed. Could see a rematch of the Bowl TV Classic where those two faced off in the finals. And Sherry got the best of Wei in that situation, but Cote not trying to hear that. See which ball Bree will elect to throw here, because as you said, Sid, plenty of options.
Yeah, knowing Bree, she'll probably stick with what was working last game until it proves that it will no longer work. We talked about consistency for her. She just keeps showing up and keeps putting shots online until it's obvious that something else is the better choice.
Well, that one rolled pretty good, and it still looks like the reality checked.
And that was pretty straight up the lane and still did the right thing. I'm a little amazed about that. Most other shots have been a couple to the right, down lane in comparison to that one. But hey, that's the point of bowling, is to create the most amount of miss room.
Cote this season opened with a 12th place finish at the Go Bowling Twin Cities Open and finished 53rd in Rockford, presented by Bowler's Journal, 13th at the Queens, 54th at the first event at the Nashville Classic, then said, all right, we got to change something here. Something ain't right. And that one got right, speaking of, and she leaves a 2-pin. And since that first event in Nashville, Bowl TV Classic, the next event, 3rd, made the show again at the Music City, where she finished 4th, 16th at the Southern Indiana Open, and then nearly got back to the show at the U.S. Women's Open, trying to defend that title from 2023. And coming off a very nice 3rd place finish at the Jonesboro Trios with Sean Rash and John Rakowski. Well, back to Sherry Tan. Her lowest finish this season is 33rd. But if you exclude that, her lowest finish is 14th.
So you're saying we have an outlier. See, I may not have studied physics, but I got math on lock.
Here's Dan. And a different piece of equipment on the right lane. Looks like it could be an OG reality.
And now I'm interested to see if 2 different balls go down the lane. She's going to throw a physics on the left lane. So now we've seen 3 different bowling balls in 3 frames from Sherry Tan.
Also something that we have seen before. She is not afraid to make changes when she doesn't see what she wants to see.
It's like she's a magician. Like, she just surprises me all the time. And I'm more amazed all the time. Because the amount of confidence you have to have in your equipment and yourself, and the amount of resolve that you have to commit to a new game plan in a stepladder finals, like, I don't even think you could bottle it up and sell it. Like, that's wild. It's cool to see.
The first bowling ball that she did start with on the left lane in frame 1 was the Tough Reality. That is an overseas 900 global release. So clean through the first 3. Now Cote. It's a really good look. And a 10-pin. If you had to, you're thinking about the players, right, and their options. We just talked about Sherry, and we've seen 3 different bowling balls. We know that Bree, has a plan in regards to Arsenal. right? Based on what we saw at the end of her 268 game, testing in that sense. Where would Bree, in your estimation, be like, okay, I think it is time to make a change? What does she has to see? Does she need to see a couple more of those, one more of that type of hit?
Honestly, for Bree, I think she needs to see Sherry have an incredible look.
Okay.
Because Bree is more like one of the best on tour at situational bowling. Like, she understands her surroundings more than most of the players on tour. And so if scoring pace is lower, Bree understands that and she plays to that. So right now with Sherry going 8 spare strike, 9 spare, and throwing 3 different balls, which means it's not clear what she wants to do, Bree can take a breath and try and adjust with this bowling ball, not feel like she has to make a big risk.
And coming off a game of 268, included an 8-bagger in that. Really good shot again, certainly maybe better than the one on the right lane. Similar result, ball hit slightly better, but 10-pin still remains. Early 2-pin deficit here for Coche. It's oftentimes you see players kind of get out, have big games in earlier matches. In the next game, it's as if the bowling gods say, yeah, okay, we got to zap you a little bit, bring that momentum level down just a little bit. Two players who are very, very good, exceptional even, at execution. And so you anticipate this one now to go to the 10th frame. Good look at the trophy. Good look at Sherry Tan in OG reality. Sean Ryan, coach for our Singapore players this week. He was also at the U.S. Women's Open, actually in a couple of other events, subbing for Coach Jason. But talking about what that left lane has been for Sherry Tan. Here's the right lane. And both players now in just a similar situation. Who's going to blink first in regards to these corner pins? I already feel like I'm bowling league. This is me. at league. Can't get the corner pin out.
I feel like if I bowled league, that would also be me. But when we have league at Kegel, I'm on tour. It's not sad.
I mean, to a degree, but
We have Kegel Employee League on Wednesday nights. It's awesome.
is JJ bowling this league?
No, he's also on tour.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Spirit made for Sherry Tan. The left lane, according to Sean, he said that's been tighter lane for Sherry so far here through this tournament. And they've been trying to get it to slow down, varying tricks, bowling balls, etc. And that has been the issue. It looks like they're going to stay with the reality and try to make it work.
So now we've got Sherry amazes me every time I watch her bowl. She's going to have bowled 3 frames in the left lane with 3 different bowling balls. And they'll probably all be close because she knows the differences between them. She'll make the moves that she has to make between the balls. And she'll throw it with conviction.
One pin lead for Tan at the moment. And looks like she's going to make it work just fine with that OG reality. Now, of course, if she can double, especially, that means if she strikes in the right lane, if she can get back to the left lane and have similar success. And in the meantime, if Bree is then in the situation where she can't get the corner out, and all of a sudden the scale might start to tip a little bit. Look like a similar piece of equipment regarding the reality check. Can this one corner? You bet. What was that 6-pin, Sid?
Kind.
It was kind indeed.
I was going to say friendly.
Yeah, that
Would
went
that
too
also
blocks.
count? Beautiful.
That really felt like a must-have right there for Bree at that moment. Because you know Sherry's just going to keep configuring, right? And both players are configuring on the fly. And that is what we do, certainly, in this sport. Tough conditions. First opportunity since both players have now struck in the same frame. Cote has an opportunity to double. And, of course, the ultimate, knowing what you'd want to see there. And now perhaps maybe the decision has been made for. But in regards to the 7-10, hey, we said one might go down today. We've seen pins bounce.
This could be it.
This could be our one. All right, the first open frame now belongs to Cote, and she's got some work to do. 226 max. And all of a sudden, Sherry Tan, who again, looks like she is going to stay with the OG reality. Her teammate, again, New Wei Finn, waiting in the wings. She will be in the title match. She is the #1 seed and will face either Tan or Cote. There it is. The first player to double in this match, and all of a sudden it feels like the first player to double might be the first to the winning number in this one, Sid.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that because this one from Sherry, I wasn't convinced that it was going to strike just because of where it was down lane. I would have expected it to be more in the friction than that one was. The fact that it went through the pins the right way is a good sign for her. Now the question is, like you said, we know from Sean Ryan, the left lane was the tougher lane for Sherry. Is that ball reaction that she had in the fifth frame going to be consistent here in the 7th?
Here's the true test. Back on the left lane for 3 in a row. Wow. And it looked like she might have got that one going left down lane.
I would agree.
As Sean mentioned, this has been the troublesome lane for Sherry, and here it is again. She cannot get up the hill.
Yeah, and I think what's important about what Sean told us is the body of the lane is what feels tight. So it may not be that she missed that far left. It could be that the ball never slowed down, so the trajectory kept going to the left. Where if it would have hooked soon enough, we may have never seen it get there.
And of course, as you say, so it did not start hooking where it needs to begin its ascend, if you will, toward the head pin.
Exactly right, because like when we throw spare balls down the lane, if they hooked, they wouldn't go in a straight line towards the spare. So same idea with balls that hook. They're going in a straight line until they encounter friction, and then the rotation and the rev rate that we put on the ball causes it to change direction.
And all of a sudden, Cote steps back up, trailing by 8. New life. She got the 6 to go in the 10 proper. On the right lane, and this time it's a little bit lazy. I could see and certainly understand the resistance for Brie because she clearly has control of the pocket. And just when you think Sherry Tan might make the move to start to stretch the lead, that left lane comes up to get her a little bit. The good news from Sherry Tan's perspective, she does not have to finish on the left lane, which makes more sense. She chose to start the match. Of course, she started on the left lane, which means she would finish on the right. So with that in mind and thinking, knowing the left lane is her troublesome lane, would not want to finish on it.
Yeah, and almost always, I will tell people to play offense when they are choosing a lane. So for Sherry, it's I want to play really great on, this right lane. The left lane is not my friend, so I'm going to choose to play offense and play aggressively, and I'm going to do that by choosing to finish on the right lane. I have to say sometimes, because one time in my coaching career we played defense. One time. Worked out for us.
I was going to say,
But
did you win?
We did. But I don't think you should always do that.
So your sample size is very small. Cote. Oh. 4-pin, and it looked like a different piece of equipment there as well. You see a little bit of the frustrations, especially on a lane level cam. There it is. Right. And, of course, the first bowling ball that you see, folks, on the rack, I believe that was the lightning blackout. That's what was thrown on the left lane, trying to fit it in there. Trailing by 9. Max score for Cote, 205. Max score at the moment for Sherry Tan, 224. Sherry Tan does a practice swing as part of that pre-shot routine. Eighth frame. Oh. And that was close, as you saw, to being a 7-10. But she is committed to this bowling ball and this strategy here.
She is, and that one didn't appear to me as clean off of her hand as other shots that she had thrown. So the ball just did not store as much energy as we had seen it in the previous time she had shots on this lane.
See the trophy up to the right. Again, thank you to all of our gold partners, silver partners, accessory partners, apparel partners, and all of our partners in general. Other brand partners on the PWBA tour. 7-pin, is taken care of by Sherry Tan. Interesting notes. We've been talking about what's been at stake, of course, this year. What's at stake across the year, and you think about when we get to the end of the season, all of the awards that are available. We know about the Rookie of the Year now. That has been locked up today by Crystal Elliott, but the Player of the Year is still up for grabs. And Sherry Tan, who entered the week just under 15,000 points back from Jane Sin, and about 5 or 6 back or so from Shannon Pluhowski in second. Tan is now right back in the mix. Bang. Great shot there in the 9th. And that is because Jane Sin did not get off to a good start here this week in Allen Park. And because of that, it's going to allow Sherry Tan to make up significant ground. Obviously, Shannon Pluhowski is going to gain a few more as well as we watch this replay. So this is back to a 3-player race. And if you also include Verity Crawley, who was in 4th the points list, she still got an opportunity to make something happen as well. She'll need a few more factors and things to go her way, but it is possible. So again, keep that in mind as we continue to watch here. throughout the week. Now, 9th frame. Cote. Max at 205. Bang. Cote stays with the lightning blackout. This feels like this is a must have in the 10th. 2 in the 10th. What a shot.
Yeah, I love this one from Bree. To me, people talk about all the time. It's like when you need to make a change, like God just kind of nudges you until he like screams at you to make that change. And for Bree, I feel like that was happening until that 7-10. Made it obvious that she needed to make a change.
Oh, and another one. Our producer tells us that this is a shadow lock and not the lightning blackout. Thanks, producer. Well, I tell you, it's locking up this head pin. That's for damn sure. Well done.
It's moments like those that I know you're a dad.
Very much so. My oldest just turned 5. Big shot coming up. This puts her in the 2-0s. At least would force Tan to get the first one in the 10th. Big shot. Cote, hook a little. No. Got that one right. Well, possibility of a tie exists. $194 for Cote. So it's simple. Instead of needing maybe 2 in the 10th, now Sherry Tan needs the first one in the 10th to seal the deal. Anything less than that, if it's just a 20-pin field, no matter how it happens, we could tie. OG reality. There it is. Sherry Tan talked about players all week. We were mentioning Julia Bond earlier during match play. Liz Johnson comes to mind. Players, when you need a shot, who are you going to call? You're going to call Sherry Tan. Great shot, great execution. And now for the second time this season, we could have an all-Singapore final.
It's a rematch.
This one not over yet mathematically. 6 is a winner. But how about Tan? Again, staying with it. Now, we know based on what we've seen earlier, when you need the pins properly, sometimes they don't go your way. So no gimmies here. But 9 is plenty. And Sherry Tan will face teammate New Wei Fin for the Greater Detroit Open title. That was a full-on grind-out game right there.
Yeah, 2 extremely professional games from both players. Only one miscue with the 379 from Sherry. And besides that, both players in the pocket for the majority of the match.
We've seen a little bit of everything so far in the step ladder finals. Again, the thriller to open with Ashley Galante and Crystal Elliott, with Galante being victorious. Then Cote with a big game 268, essentially in a blowout over Ashley Galante, and then essentially going shot for shot, corner pin for corner pin for a few frames until, of course, Tan needing that first hit in the 10th gets it and the appropriate count, and she is on to the finals to face teammates New Wei Fin and Daphne Tan, and I'm sure others from Singapore watching as well. Folks, we got one more bowling ball giveaway, and it is courtesy of Storm. Storm is the leading manufacturer of high-performance bowling balls. Visit stormbowling.com to pick your next Storm bowling ball, and always remember to bowl up a Storm. Again, the leading manufacturer of high-performance bowling balls. Visit stormbowling.com to pick your next Storm bowling ball, and remember to bowl up a Storm. The giveaway, the championship match, next here on Bowl TV.
What is it about bowling that captivates us so much? Mastery of the game is impossible, but perfection is just within reach. Success seems to lie 60 feet ahead, but the real battle takes place 6 inches between your ears. So if no matter how many times you fail, you would still do anything, and I mean anything, just to get 1% better. We know exactly how you feel.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the title match is set to come your way here in a moment. Again, an all-Singapore final for the second time this season, a rematch from the Bowl TV Classic. New Wei Fin will face Sherry Tan for a PWBA title. And folks, the final bowling ball giveaway officially underway. Make sure you are out of full screen mode so you can be fully participating, so you can see all of the lower third prompts. And then once that first countdown is complete, make sure you click submit entry. You'll see it on the lower left side of your screen. And currently on your screen, though, you see the bracket. If you are just joining us here at the Greater Detroit Open, Emil Williams Jr. along with Sydney Brummett. I mentioned that thrilling opening match, Ashley Galante defeating Crystal Elliott 209 to 208. Brianna Cote then taking care of business 268 to 162. And in the match we just saw, 203 to 194. Sherry Tan defeating Brianna Cote. So another championship final for Sherry Tan. And now this will be 3 career-wise for New Wei Fin. And this will be more than likely first opportunity we would see urethane here in play during the stepladder finals. Last opportunity to click submit entry. You got yourself a Storm bowling ball of choice. Warren G. Burr. Well, Warren, you got yourself a Storm bowling ball. Congrats, Warren. Warren G., well, you know, you got to regulate if you're Warren G. Burr, so make sure you handle business. Get yourself a Storm bowling ball. Congratulations. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We'll have a couple more giveaways in our next stepladder final. That'll be a couple of days from now, the PWBA Pepsi Open. All right, Sid. New Wei Finn. We saw her throw urethane during match play, and it certainly looks like she's going to give it a go here in this title match. She's now the only player, of course, at this point. No other left, or excuse me, righty. She's facing a lefty. Based on what we saw earlier, and her command of urethane use in the back half of match play, she started with it and actually went away quicker than looked to in comparison to when we saw her earlier this morning. What do we anticipate seeing?
From Wei, it's mostly going to be about taking advantage of what's happened on the right side of the lane. So there's been a lot of traffic left of the track. Not very much, I should say, just right of the track, in the track, and left of it, and nothing as far to the right as she wanted to play with urethane. So she can utilize that, take advantage of it, and stick to the same exact game plan that she had that gave her success to earn the #1 seed here after the second round of match play.
There you see Damon Sirocco, the final instructions, and asking Wei whether she would like to start.
All right, bowling fans, here we go. Our championship match. Familiar foes, but also friends. We have seen this before. Wei versus Sherry. Sherry took it for the Bowl TV Classic earlier in the year, but can Wei get her second title? We will find out shortly. Let's give these ladies a huge round of applause. 10 grand on the line, and the first title of the week, the PWBA Greater Detroit Open.
In their previous match, Sherry Tan was the #1 seed. Wei was the #2 seed, and Tan defeated Wei 269 to 206. Again, in the Bowl TV Classic Stepladder Final. That was during the Classic Series in Nashville. And now a rematch here in Detroit at Thunderbolt Lanes. That looks like a different piece of equipment for Sherry Tan. What a shot to open up the title match. Business as usual for Sherry. And now a first look here this week. The finals for New Wei Finn, 2016 Rookie of the Year on tour, and won the coveted Tour Championship that season. And the IQ 78U putting in work early, 4-pin set.
Yeah, if Wei's going to have any issues this match, it'll be with the ball hooking early. More than likely, they hit that with a bit of surface before this started again, just to ensure it will hook enough. Because once surface goes away on urethane, you get fearful for your carry sometimes. And so these first couple shots may hook earlier than even she wants them to, but it could pay off down the road in the match.
Good opening spare for New Wei Finn on the season. Wei, as the full season, think about the full sample size. We talked about, you know, how normally when we see Singapore, it's generally in a 3 to 5 event range, but you know, this time essentially bowling the full season. This is event 9 for Wei and Sherry Tan. And fast 8. 4-pin on the right lane, fast 8 on the left lane. What does that tell you?
More than likely, it's just a move to the left. Occasionally in practices, our heart rates are elevated, we're moving quicker, so our ball speeds will naturally be faster. So although sometimes, as their opponent, we get a little annoyed when that incoming person takes time during those practice shots, it can give them a more realistic picture of what's going to happen during the match.
Summit Ascent. The ball choice for Sherry Tan as we continue this title match. Again, Wei, 32 years old. Sherry Tan, 36. And a double.
I can appreciate that Sherry chose to stay with that ball on both lanes. You know, the reality was close, just wasn't quite enough.
When Sherry won the Bowl TV Classic and put her in obviously a great number, that 5 title number, which effectively, and obviously she's got a long way to go, but she's would be a major away from becoming Hall of Fame eligible. But she keeps on winning standard events too. That gets her closer to that margin as well. And good shot, wrap 7.
Even though I believe this ball choice is better for Sherry, just based on the motion it's providing, the left lane is still going to be tighter in the body of the lane, and if she's going to struggle with carry, it will more than likely be on 33.
Which, as we talked about in the semifinals, has been the lane for her where there has been some struggle. Again, the first event of 3, the winner to receive $10,000. $5,000 to the runner-up. $3,500 to Brianna Cote, who finished in 3rd. $2,500 today for Ashley Galante. $2,200 for Crystal Elliott, who finished 5th. Wei will step up, trailing by 11. Here are the finishes for Wei on the season: 16th at the Twin Cities Open, 7th in Rockford, 17th at the Queens, 8th in Nashville, of course the runner-up at the Bowl TV Classic, 11th at the Music City Classic. Bang, good shot. Straighten that angle right up. 13th at the Southern Indiana Open, excuse me, and 11th at the U.S. Women's Open. Talk about consistency. Oh, look, right at about 9-ish at the arrows. Beautiful shot.
When Wei came back, she was discussing with Sean Ryan. She said, it was me on the right lane. I missed left. She said, but 33, that's weird. So it's not a surprise we're seeing a ball change here from her.
2-pin on the left lane, so you're saying the left lane might be the bugaboo for both players potentially.
100%. Usually, when a lane is tighter for someone on the left side of the lane, it will hook more for somebody on the right side. It's not always, but it is fairly typical. So for Wei, she had that fast 8 on the left lane. She could feel like the lane was hooking more and wanted to go to a urethane ball that may not hook as much in the body of the lane as the one she's throwing currently.
Spare made. Of course, our championship match will end soon, but do not fret because there is more bowling for you on the way on Bowl TV. The stepladder finals of the PBA 50 South Shore Open will begin at 7:30 p.m. Central. I believe at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So we appreciate that scheduling, so everyone can watch each respective stepladder finals in their entirety. All back to Tan with a 11-pin advantage. So it looks like she's got a little bit more room perhaps with this bowling ball here. Looking to go double 9 spare and add another double to this. Again, the PWBA Pepsi Open. gets underway. We'll field back on the lanes here at Thunderbolt tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Please join us. That one is certainly left. That was really felt like and looked like maybe the first really bad shot that we've seen from Sherry Tan.
Yeah, I would say that one and the 379 were the two worst shots that we've seen from Sherry in these two games. It's not out of this realm to me that they came on the left lane. Because when players are unsure of what's going to happen, that's typically when we start to focus on things outside of our control and our shot quality goes down.
Washout situation. One, 379. She will take the count. And now way right back in this thing. See Way at the ball return. Want to get as much oil, of course, off that urethane as possible. And with that open lead change, as Way steps up with a 1-pin advantage. Fifth frame. Light mixer carry. Way has yet to double in this match, and this could be the first time we'll see one here.
Yeah, I was interested to see if she would stay with the fast pitch that she went to in the fourth frame on this lane, or if she would stay with the 78U that she's been using consistently on the right. She'll choose to stay with the fast pitch at 2-pin last time. More than likely a small move here to the right.
Peel ball. Wow. That one got on the horse. And even Way can't believe it. The reaction certainly said it all. Look at that ball just peel.
What? How did... That's incredible.
And I think a lot of that, of course, is what Way can do with a bowling ball.
Mm-hmm.
She is extremely versatile. I mean, she's just got about every tool and trick that you would like to have as a player. And perhaps that could lead to her second title of her career. Now back to Tan. Gotta get up, and rocket, no. A lot of contact. No flags were thrown.
It is almost football season. We can get in the spirit.
Seen some nice messengers, but we've seen a ton that just haven't connected for whatever reason during our first event. Sherry trailing. Missed a washout in that open if you're just joining us. Very good step ladder final across the board. Thrilling opening match won by Ashley Galante. Brianna Cote steps in. Dominating performance against Galante. And then a back and forth seesaw battle. Who could carry the best between Sherry Tan and Brianna Cote. And the edge went to Sherry Tan. And now here we are in the title match. Tan, the number 2 seed. Singapore teammate, New Wave Finn, the number 1 seed. Emil Williams Jr. with Sydney Brummett. Thanks to Cecil Scarborough, our player services manager, handling our talent stats today. We appreciate Cecil. Now just frames away from crowning the first champion of the week. Back on the left lane goes Sherry Tan. Frame 7. And again, a little sluggish on that left lane.
Yeah, it's going to appear to all of us like she's missing left. That's what we're going to see. I believe that the washout was a miss left. No doubt about that. But when it comes in light, more than likely the ball's just not picking up where she wants it to, and so the ball gets further left down lane than she expected. This is one of those times that if I was on Sherry's team, I'd be reminding her that she's more than good enough, that that's not going to keep happening consistently. And she has to remember that it's the lane, not her, and then make a change.
Spare made. I see both players going back and having a chat. They're not, of course, talking to the air. That is Sean Ryan, who you can't see. He is just off camera again. Getting the call to help Team Singapore. As Coach Jason, I believe, is back in Singapore. There's also a little bit of a roll of thunder here. Outside, well, we got to get this thing done. And another 4-7. Weather, perhaps in the area. Where is our resident meteorologist, Danielle Niddle, when we need her?
Usually I just go to my weather app and see if the rain is coming down. It's not currently. There's just clouds.
This one has all the makings to go down to the 10th frame. This Wei will handle business. 10-pin lead for Wei. New Wei Fin. Looking for, again, title number 2. When I talked to her back at Nashville, she kind of walked me through basically what happened after she won the title in 2016. The year ended with an injury, and she spent the next couple of seasons kind of working through, making some changes, and then spent like 2019, 2020, 2021 strengthening her core and her lower half to sustain the workload. Certainly that is all of the bowling training that they do, and that messenger does not connect. Even got Sydney almost off her feet.
I was so excited. I love a good messenger. And we saw so many on 33 and 34 during match play. I say so many. It was like 4.
Sid, from these two urethane pieces and the way, and we don't see the layouts, of course, but what differences do you see with your eye between this fast pitch on the left lane and, of course, the IQ 78U?
The fast pitch appears to me to be cleaner through the body of the lane. And more than likely, it was set up that way with surface prep, because those two balls aren't realistically going to be that much different. And most of us would think that the 78 would be cleaner through the middle part of the lane. But with that being said, the most important part of a bowling ball is the surface preparation of it. So if they have a lot more surface on the 78 than the fast pitch, the 78 will be earlier.
Frames 8 and 9 upcoming for Sherry Tan, and they are important. Here's the 8th. Right lane, got to get up the hill, and it does.
We've had a lot of good matches this evening. A lot of close matches. As we watch a replay here. Sherry Tan.
Sherry max score 226 at the moment. Wei, 235. Or excuse me, 225, I beg your pardon. Tan cannot shut out Wei, of course, because he's not in a finishing position, but a strike here, and she would set herself up for success no matter what happens with Wei in the next couple. Left lane has been the tough one. Oh, wow. And the 4-pin thought about it.
It's a really good shot from Sherry.
Boy, what a shot there. Certainly one of her best on that lane. Many times as we talk about lane to lane, the difference is what you have to do, what you have to deal with, put up with. Try to conjure up the right solutions. And now Wei will have the opportunity. Shutout situation at stake. One open between the two players, and that was the washout back in the 5th for Sherry Tan. Tan can still max at 206. So with that said, Wei is going to have to throw a strike, and she's going to need a double at some point. She could start it here. 9th frame. Bang. Well, Sydney Brummett. New Wave fan. Must have for dub. Oh, and there it is. New Wave Finn pins away from gathering title number 2. Look at that ball just stop, Sid.
Yeah, I mean, that's what urethrane's supposed to do at the end of the day, is hook and go forward. It did just that.
6 has been a magic number for a lot of players today in stepladder finals. It's the number again here. Wei trying to officially exact a little bit of friendly revenge on her teammate Sherry Tan. On the lane. How about another? 7 is all right. New Wei Fan for the second time. A PWBA champion. A player so versatile. The tools, the tricks, everything you would want as a player. 212, the final score. And Wei, of course, this is what they do, right? They train. They go out and handle business daily, weekly. Of course, in Singapore, they take their opportunities to come to the United States. They don't take them for granted. When they are here to win, and win is what often happens. We see it a lot, of course, from Sherry Tan, and now New Wei Finn is a multi-time champion on the PWBA Tour. And interestingly enough, 3rd time's the charm for Wei. We talked about what happened in Nashville this season. But, of course, her first match, or their first match, was the Tour Championship in 2016. And Wei also defeated Sherry Tan. So we just got to have Sherry Tan in the finals every time. I'll take that percentage, though. If you can beat Sherry Tan twice, that's more than a lot of other people. We will be joined by New Wei Finn in just a little bit, of course. Sherry Tan taking care of business. Sherry's like, I'm not fast tracking. I'm going through my process. I'm staying committed for each shot. She bowled really well overall. And again, the difference, just the washout, certainly in the fifth frame.
Yeah, and it's one of the two bad shots that we saw from her throughout two matches. Yeah, unfortunately, she paid full price. Made a great shot at the washout. Didn't make it, but she still continued to give herself an opportunity to win these matches. That's what makes Sherry so good. She never goes away. She's just always there. So even when you feel like you have a tournament locked up or a match locked up, she's just kind of hanging out like, hey, I'm one strike away, one move away.
And, of course, for Sherry Tan, again, she has closed the gap considerably in regards to the Player of the Year race. She gets the minimum now, of course, she could have earned was second, $5 grand from the points perspective. She also gets $5,000 for her runner-up finish, but it is the time of New Wei Finn. $10,000 in the pocket, and she will go grab the trophy. And Robin Graves will handle our official presentation. $212 to $206. Again, folks, for those of you who want to hear from Wei, just hang out, of course. If you open up another tab or a browser, certainly, the PBA 50 South Shore Open Stepladder is beginning shortly.
Wei, congratulations on behalf of the whole PWBA and all the staff on your second title. So I'm going to sneak over on this side of you. You've been knocking on the door for quite a long time. How does your second title feel?
Different. The price check is different, and the hard work is also more, I feel, than the first time. First time, I didn't even know how I won it. Second time, I was like, I think I know what I'm doing.
So a lot more confident in the game, a lot more maturity from when you won in 2016. Sherry had your number earlier in the year. You guys are so close coming back over. What does that feel like? Is that any different competing against her?
No, I think it's the same. It's just the real competition is against myself. It's not really against Sherry. Yeah.
So you have kind of entered the Player of the Year race. You made a mark here with this win, and it's going to get very interesting as we wind down to the end of the season. Coming back over from Singapore, did you give any thought to that, or possibly being in the hunt?
No, I saw Jane winning the US Open. I thought I had no chance. Yeah, because that's double points, right? Yeah.
Well, you have definitely made an interesting way. Congratulations, our 2024 Greater Detroit Open champion. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming out. Tomorrow begins the PWBA Pepsi Open. So we hope to see you once again. Thank you. You can follow all the action on Bowl TV. And then after that, we have our final major of the year, the PWBA Tour Championship, happening live on CBS Sports Network. Safe travels, and we'll see you all again.
Thank you to Robin Graves. A few photos, of course. The official photos need to take place. We will have Wei in the booth with us here, but there's the final look at the bracket. Ashley Galante winning the opening match, defeating Crystal Elliott. Cote then takes care of Ashley Galante 268 to 162. Sherry Tan then defeats Brianna Cote in a very close match, 203 to 194. And New Wei Finn, as you just saw, getting it done versus teammate Sherry Tan. Wei, as the top seed, wins 212 to 206. Folks, before we hear from Wei, we will hear a word from one of our valuable gold partners in Lane Talk. Again, shout out to Lane Talk. Stop by lanetalk.com to find live scoring links and centers across the U.S. and all the latest products to help you track your scores and improve your game. That is Lane Talk. New Wei Finn, the champion, next on Bowl TV.
Got some exciting news.
We now have a pro subscription
for bowlers who really want to take their game to the next level.
The biggest thing, you can tag and label each game.
Whenever you use a ball, whatever oil pattern that you're on,
You can now track the ball's performance and compare balls side by side.
it is incredibly powerful and it is going to help you analyze your game.
Try Lane Talk Pro free for 1 month. Upgrading the app, and we'll see you on Lane Talk.
All right, congratulations and welcome back, of course, in the booth. But New Wei Finn, a champion again on the PWBA Tour. First and foremost, just describe the feeling of being back in the winner's circle on this tour, especially with all the time you guys spent training, of course, and making it a point to travel to the United States to be here. You made it count with your second title here.
Don't really know what words to use to describe this feeling. I don't know, it's different from the first time. Yeah.
You're just still Robin, in fact. Then you were like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Now you have an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah.
From that perspective, talk about the training elements and what has gone into your process to get to this point, to be a consistent player at the top of the game and certainly women's professional bowl.
For me, I work on my physical game to make sure that I can use all my releases consistently and also adjust my ball speed without losing direction. Yeah.
We talked about your ability to be very versatile, and you just described that. When we discussed in Nashville, you kind of broke down how things had gone since 2016. Some injuries,
Yeah.
then working to rebuild strength, core, and the lower half. How has all of that training paid off in this moment here?
Now, I don't really feel much pain. Yeah, it's just maybe just mental fatigue. Most of it is mental fatigue from thinking too much when I don't need to think.
The ability or the reasoning to throw urethane, what went into that decision between you and Coach Sean?
Oh, he said it's match play, anything can happen. So when I just threw the 78U without any surface, I was like, damn! Like, I cannot miss the pocket.
So that was a surprise to you.
Yeah,
You weren't expecting.
It was a surprise. Yeah, and when I threw the fast pitch on, like, in the morning, it didn't look good, so it was in the back all the way. Yeah.
And then you chose to go to the fast pitch on the left lane. When it went through the face and you went to it and it two-pinned, what was the move after that?
Sean would ask me to hit up on that.
Got it. So when you
Yeah.
got the one to the right, it was all your ability to just hit it harder, basically?
Yeah, just
Okay.
hit it harder, like to create more lift, so it will rev more at the break point. Yeah, then from that almost gutter shot, then I move half right.
And as you went throughout match play and then making the show, you had this ability to kind of be in your own world because everybody else was moving left. Do you feel like that played in your favor then coming to the show as well?
Yeah, most definitely. Because like the players that were in the track and standing up to the right, I think they might have seen some of my urethane carried out. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot easier to play when it's just pin 10, pin 7, strike, strike, versus they are split or wash out. Yeah.
Well, I know you like to keep it simple, but your game really is amazing, and very happy for you to
Thank
achieve
you.
title number 2. Congratulations, and obviously a short turnaround, and you got to be back on the lanes tomorrow
Yeah.
at 10 a.m., so we'll let you get some rest.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, thank you.
That is the latest PWBA champion, Greater Detroit Open, specifically New Wave Finn joining us. One final look at the bracket before we close shop here. Again, 212 to 206, the final tallies. And boy, did we have a lot of fun. We were treated to a very good stepladder for the entire time. Each match presented its own, of course, unique challenges, as they always do. We had a thriller to open up our stepladder final, and even down to the title match. This one came down to the 10th frame, and you kind of knew it was going to. It just felt like it had that opportunity, of course, to do so. Way so versatile. She talked about that, but the surprise from her eyes when urethane looked great. I mean, it's a great tool, obviously, and certainly she knows what to do with it. How about that move, and from your opinion, your estimation?
Yeah, I thought it was great because she can take advantage of being in her own world, own part of the lane. And it was thrown around a lot, the idea of throwing urethane, and it seemed like only maybe 1 or 2 people stuck to it. And Wei became our champion, sticking to a game plan, knowing her moves, and being versatile. So I think it speaks worlds for the work that she puts in the offseason.
Well, fantastic job by you. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
You got to hit the lanes as well.
Very excited.
Folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank all of our wonderful athletes. Certainly, congrats to those who won bowling balls tonight, Warren G. Burr and Kay Lee. Thank you to Storm and Brunswick for providing said bowling balls for us tonight. I want to thank all of our valuable Go partners and product registered partners as well. I want to thank the United States Bowling Congress and the Bowling Proprietors Association of America and their respective boards. Of course, Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider of the PWBA and the United States Bowling Congress, the wonderful PWBA athletes, and certainly you, the Bowl TV community. Big thanks to all involved. We will be back at it tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, for qualifying round 1 of the PWBA Pepsi Open. For Sydney Brummett, Patrick Martinez, our entire crew and staff, my name is Emil Williams Jr. We say so long for now. This has been a presentation of the 2024 PWBA Greater Detroit Open. New Wave Finn, a champion again today. You watched it live and only on Bowl TV. Bowling lives here. Good night.